Hello, how's everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing quite well. Sleep deprived maybe, but doing good. So this next video is us going up the western coast of New Zealand, all the way down from Queenstown, all the way up to Nelson, or I guess Picton really. But it's really great, super fun. Vegetation is fantastic. I guess, I'll let the video speak for itself. But thanks for watching, enjoy, and yeah, boom! So just before heading up the western coast, we went actually back down to Arrowtown to stop at this winery called Aaron or something. I kind of forgot the name. But we went to this their kind of Chinese restaurant called Billy's, and as you can see, the place was super fancy and the food was equally fancy and delicious. Oh my god, definitely worth the trip. And you can see us fighting over a dumpling here, homage to Mia. So from Queenstown, we went through the Hoss Pass, stopping on the way at the Blue Pools. And this is just kind of some of the landscape that we passed through on the way to it. Really pretty. And the Blue Pools are basically, it's a river really that just pools in two spots. It has like just this beautiful deep blue color because it's all glacial runoff coming from these mountains, these steep mountains on both sides of it. So super pretty. It was like a 30-minute walk from the road. Definitely worth a short little kind of detour. So from the Blue Pools, we continued up to going towards Fox Glacier. And really, we kind of took our time going through the Hoss Pass, which is basically this dense kind of temperate jungle, like really nestled in this tight valley. And there were waterfalls along the way that we could stop out, and kind of misty mountains, Lord of the Rings pun intended. And yeah, so we took our time going through there and really just enjoyed the sights. And I mean, everything that we saw was really pretty. So once we made it to the west coast, the vegetation changed like pretty drastically. So I mean, it was like temperate jungle over here, and you can see these are kind of the trees that are growing right along the beach, which was super cool. And this is actually a beach we stopped at along the bay called Shipwreck Cove. I was kind of hoping there would be a shipwreck there. There indeed was not, but it was a pretty beach to stop out nonetheless. So the next morning, we actually did a early morning hike to Monroe Beach, with the hopes to see penguins. Supposedly there were fiordland crested penguins that were seen fairly commonly on this beach. Alas, we did not see any, even though we tried to get there at dawn to see them, which is when they're most active. But we tried. Anyway, so we continued on to Fox Glacier, and we went along this trail right here through these beautiful kind of like the forest, and the trees were really pretty because they had moss growing all the way up, and the leaves were only really at the top, which was, I don't know, cool growth pattern. And you can see here in the distance of this video Fox Glacier, which was super cool. We couldn't get any closer, but the view from where we were was spectacular. So that same day we headed down to Copeland Trek, which was a 10-mile hike kind of into a valley. And you can see kind of this is what we were hiking through, right along this beautiful, gorgeous blue river. Again, glacial melt. The trail itself was fairly flat, but it was wet, so it was kind of tricky to walk through. But it also was not nearly wasn't in as good condition as some of the other ones that we had done in the past. Luckily, East Coast hiking has very well prepared us for this kind of trekking. There was also a ton of fording, yeah. And so you can see this is a video of me using a fern to brush the sand off of my feet after doing a ford, which was ineffective, but made for a great video. And yeah, so I'll just let the kind of videos again speak for themselves, but the entire way up was super, super pretty, and the forest was, I guess the jungle really was quite stunning. What was also cool is they had a bunch of swing bridges there, and these, I have a couple videos of some of the cooler ones because these are one person only, and they're basically, you're walking on these little bars, but the only thing that's kind of keeping you there is like a chain link fence. So it looked kind of sketchy, but I'm like, my thought process was, you know, trust it blindly because, you know, they probably know what they're doing, and you know, if I fall and die, then I fall and die. But I trust the New Zealand, I trust the Kiwis to set up a bridge well, and they sure did, and they were really fun to go on. Anyways, after a very long, strenuous hike, it took a long time. We eventually made it to the Welcome Flat Hut, which was definitely the nicest hut we stayed in. It had heating, it had flushable toilets, it had running water. I mean, it was nice. And a large part of that is because right next to the place, as you can see right here, is hot pools, which unfortunately, what we didn't actually know has brain-eating amoeba in it. So we show up and we're like, oh, okay, we're so ready to go to those hot pools. And the the DOC, the Department of Conservation facility member that was there told us that, yeah, enjoy the hot pools, just don't put your head under, because if you get water up your sinuses, you could get brain-eating amoeba. So we're like, okay then, you know, sounds good. You know, even with the threat of brain-eating amoeba, totally worth it. You know, just, I mean, being able to soak in a hot pool after like a strenuous like 10-mile hike was spectacular, and the water was warm, and it was truly such a great experience. Hey, you know what is the best part about this hut? In case there's a fire, they have the one exit clearly marked.
They got you.
Thank God. Thank God that they got us covered. So the next day we headed up to Pancake Rocks and Blowholes, and along the way we stopped at this small town called Ross, and they had this like kind of old-timey bar. I mean, Ross was an old historic gold mining town, so as you could see from the outside of the building and the inside, really, it really looked the part. But we got recommendations from one guy working at a gas station on the East Coast. He's like, you gotta go here. So we're like, you know what, why not? And the vibe in it was actually pretty cool, and we really enjoyed it. But we continued on the way, and eventually we got to Pancake Rocks, which are these really cool geological formations of rock that basically kind of look like pancakes stacked on top of each other, which was really funky to see. And there was there was walking paths along the way, so you could kind of walk in and amongst them, and there were also kind of blowholes. I mean, I guess it's why it's called Pancake Rocks and Blowholes, where the water would rush in and kind of shoot up through vents. So the whole thing was, I mean, it was no more than like a 30-minute walk, but man, was it beautiful.
A really stately, overgrown pigeon.
Yeah, actually.
Get that.
So afterwards, we continued on to Nelson Lakes National Park, and again, you know, took our time going down the coast, explored some of the areas. We actually stopped by a seal colony, which was super cool. You can see them here. This seal colony was slightly different to the one in the past because all the seals were, I mean, you couldn't get anywhere near as close, but also all the seals were I think they were all like babies. There was only like one big one, and you can kind of see there, it's hard to see, but they're all laying on that log, and Orion and I were confused at how do they get up into such, like, on top of rocks. Like, they can't really climb, they can just kind of flop. So afterwards we continued on to Nelson Lake, where we could hear the bird song really well. And since we were pretty eager to continue moving down, and you know, it was a long day of driving, we didn't actually stay at Nelson Lakes very long, but I was very happy that we did kind of stop by it because, I mean, it was super, super pretty. And actually in the water, I don't have a video of it, sadly, but there were tons of eels. I mean, right under the dock where there's bird is right now, I mean, there must have been 10 eels within like a meter by meter space. I mean, it was like packed, which was super cool to see. And in deals, the eels are actually kind of protected in this lake because they've been over hunted for so long, and they were important for Maori communities since they were a huge fishing resource. Anyways, after Nelson Lakes, we headed up to Nelson, and here's a little video of it. There isn't too much there. We pretty much just used it to, you know, sleep and spend the night since they had places we can park for free. And then the very next day, we actually went up to the Golden Bay, which is these beautiful beach right along this forest. And the view all along the way to get there was gorgeous. We had to kind of drive over some mountains, which was a little sketchy at times, but super cool. And this is actually the drive right here along the beach that we went through. And you can see right around this corner, we actually go through a little tunnel, which, you know, is nothing too crazy, but I thought was actually was pretty cool. And then of course, you know, we're at a beach. The water was actually like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So it was actually pretty warm. So, you know, we had to go swimming. And at the beach, we met the cutest dog ever. I mean, just look at this dog. It was so cute, and it was like this cute little puppy, and it had so much energy, and it was running around. Oh my God, it was so adorable. So we were able to kind of hang out with the dog for a little bit right after we finished swimming. So it was great. So that day we drove up to Nelson, actually spent the night, and then from there continued on to Picton the very next day because we were supposed to catch our ferry, which was leaving at 2 o'clock. But literally right when we got to Picton, the ferry was moved to 7. So we ended up kind of chilling in Picton the whole day. Hello? What a video, right? I mean, come on. Someone needs to give the guy who makes these things a raise. Obviously, as you can see, I have now shaved. I think I'm pretty sure throughout that period you could see my beard quite clearly. You know, that's gone. It was kind of bugging me, to be honest. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know why I went on such a long tirade about the beard, but thank you for watching, and next one will be out shortly.